Hello, my friends. Thank you for coming to play with the ideas that I present on my channel. This is the third installment and last installment of Dream State. What they wanted me to convey in this part about Dream State was comparing the deceased state to sleeping, or the walking, waking life to sleep or death. So it's making the comparison to falling asleep and dying. So let's listen to what they had to say about this. They were saying that our walking, waking life is so different from dream state. It's a metaphor for the living and dead state. When we are in dream state, we have the same awareness of someone who is deceased, although we are in a much more energized state because we still have the ability to conjure up and call into our experience places and situations, because we still have the power of the life force as well as the species force, and of course the ever-present universal consciousness or God force to utilize. And so we're actually more empowered in dream state than we are after we die, which I thought was an interesting thought. Now we draw on these three powers all of our life. And our minds play with situations, conditions, and events in dream state that are close to our walking, waking reality. A very energized and healed deceased person would actually have to go to a higher energy level to do what we can do in dream state experience, to conjure the experiences that we can have here, even when we're asleep. Dream state is a time when we can bring into ourselves the many realities that we may need to witness in order to help us make choices in our life. In general, people don't travel in their dreams. They don't leave the close proximity of their body. Instead, the images that are shared with others of our species can be pulled from the stream, let us call it, of mental images and awareness and they can be drawn into us in dream state. And so when we feel like we may have traveled in dream state to another city or gathered the mental awareness or image of what it's like to experience that place, it's actually that we're tapping into someone else's experience that lives there in our shared consciousness pool that surrounds the earth. And also in dream state, there is a certain accessibility for contact with deceased people who have energized themselves to the extent that they can try and communicate with us through the veil. Well, they called it a mirror in the meditation. And just to explain the word mirror, the living and the deceased are separated by a one-way mirror. They can see us, but we can't see them. So communication with the deceased does happen in REM state, as we saw in part 2, when there's much more interactiveness of the entire brain than in the simple regenerative sleep state. of repair of our brain. So then they wanted to make the distinction between walking, waking existence and dream state, because the walking, waking existence is completely within the energy level that we're manifesting, and which in our case is physical. And the focus on the physical is an important area where the intent of manifestation will be completed. And that's why they emphasize the walking, waking life over sleeping or dreaming. The whole point is for us to accomplish our intent within the manifestation. And so in dream state, we're accomplishing a different function. Even though we have a broader mental range than we do when we're awake, it is most important to bring all knowledge and experience into our conscious, waking existence here. To feel the unity, to know ourselves as one with universal consciousness, all of God's creation and manifestations. And to know that consciously, or things like that consciously, is much more valuable than sensing them or feeling it in dream state, even if we can remember our dreams. They don't want to dwell on the importance of emphasizing dream state, because that's not the point or purpose of realizing ourself as a spiritual being, as well as the physical counterpart of universal consciousness or God. And it's important that the realization and the self-knowledge occur within the conscious mind. And so dream state should not at all be confused with a gateway to all knowledge, because it isn't. This knowledge must be fully comprehended in the conscious mind. And so dream state is not a pathway or accessibility to conscious understanding. We must view all of God's manifestation and interpret it, its truthful reality. And sleep is not a gateway to this understanding. Sometimes dreams are mistaken as a path for inner knowledge because of the nature of the change of mental focus that occurs within sleep. It's associated with meditation or death, which a lot of people believe to be instant knowledgeability, instant perfection, which of course is incorrect. Perfect knowledge has to be obtained in the focus level of the manifestation, which for us is physical. It has to be brought into walking, waking reality in our terms. But this transition from one state to another, as from awake to asleep, is mistaken for the transformation, not only from physical awareness to complete awareness. So, for example, in my own work, as I was right then in meditation, I was able to hear their words and draw upon the knowledge and information that was set forth for me to receive. And I can do this kind of meditation with my eyes open. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about in dream state. I'm very conscious. I may be in trance. My trances can be deeper or lighter, and I can still hear the information coming. It's sort of like automatic writing, if any of you do that, which is great fun. But I've become much more conscious in my trance. I'm tapping into them much more consciously, and I'm completely awake now when I'm doing it. So, in summation, the importance of dream state. is generally not ascension oriented. Although the memories from REM state activity can be carried into our walking, waking existence. And I just want to note here that death is not the ticket to enlightenment. Enlightenment happens in life, if it happens at all. But mentally, it's like we have two very different realities. One is being awake, which uses the part of the brain that's just above the brainstem, but the vast inner reaches of the brain is used in dream state. And our dreams are stored, revived, and relived in that part of our brain that's unreachable in a healthy human brain. And that part of the brain is closed off from walking, waking life. They wanted to emphasize that we must bring the awareness of all reality into whatever situation or condition that we find ourselves in. This is the important lesson in the study of death, or falling asleep, for that matter, or dream state. No matter what sensibility or vehicles our consciousness is working with or using, we must bring perfect understanding or achieve perfect understanding within that level in our present moment. And I think that's where we're going to end it today. So, oh, and they asked me if I had any more questions about dream state. And I said, I'm just so blown away that they would not link dream state to the path of inner knowledge, because it really seems like in dream state we move inward. And I really appreciate this clarification. And they said, yes, much more importance is placed on the unconscious than should be, because the whole point is to understand reality with our conscious mind. Because if we don't understand it in the state or condition that we're in, we won't be able to understand it in other conditions that we're in. And so dream state is not the gateway of inner understanding. They say prayer and meditation is prayerful meditation done in a waking, conscious, purposeful intent will eventually bring us to perfect knowledge. So thank you so much. That concludes our series on dream state. And until I see you again, please be well and please be blessed.